It's time to mind your business with me, Jamillah Lodge. Tune in to find out how to mind your business with BEDC, special guest entrepreneurs, industry experts, and more. Brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda Business starts here. So, Hailey Smith, welcome to Mind Your Business. I'm Jamillah Lodge. I'm the host for the show. I'm really happy to have you here to talk with us about what you do and your journey into entrepreneurship. But before we get into the questions, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Hailey Smith. A lot of people know me by Hailey Nakai. They get it confused, but Nakai is actually my middle name.
Okay.
And my first love would have to be singing, like the arts and drama, acting, and all that jazz.
Okay.
And stepped into marketing.
Okay. So
Yeah.
how did you, if drama and all of that's your passion, how did you decide on marketing?
The pandemic.
Oh, okay.
I was going on auditions. Pandemic happened. That all stopped. And so everything took a turn and decided to go into marketing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the name of your business is Nakai Marketing, your
Yes.
middle name. Now I
Yes.
understand why
Yes.
you decided to do that. So was it always a plan for you to be an entrepreneur? Was that something that you always wanted to do? No?
That was never my plan.
Really?
At all. Like I said, the pandemic happened, and I was living in the UK at the time, and I moved back to Bermuda. And I wanted to find a job in marketing, but pandemic, nobody was hiring. So I was like, you know what? Got to create the opportunity for myself. So I started my Instagram page, Nakai Marketing, and I started sharing tips, different ideas that businesses could use. And I used that almost as a portfolio for myself.
Yeah.
And that way I was able to get jobs. People wanted to hire me to be their social media manager. And that's kind of how I got started. And I said, okay, I guess I'm running my own business now.
I guess we're doing this.
Yep.
So what has that journey been like for you, though? So when you finished school, you right away started looking for a job in the arts, and maybe that didn't happen. So have you ever worked for anyone else besides yourself?
Yes, but not directly for marketing.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then my question is, what is it like being your own boss compared to working for someone else?
I mean, stepping fresh out of university, it was a bit tricky. I had no plans to be an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
so I didn't know what I was setting myself up for. But what I found helped me the most was connecting with other social media managers who were running their own businesses.
Okay.
So I would connect with a lot of them. It's like a little community on Instagram. And so if I had a question, I would reach out to somebody and ask them.
Okay.
And so it's almost like we were all entrepreneurs running our own social media agencies, but we're all collectively helping each other.
Okay, that's really
Yeah.
cool. And I think that's important because a lot of times, I think especially in Bermuda, when people are starting their own business, it can be very insular. Like they're like, this is all me, this is what I'm doing. But having that network that extends outside of your immediate circle, I think is important.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it gives you an opportunity to kind of see best practices, I guess, in other places.
Yeah.
Now, your group that you were relying on or getting support from, were they local in Bermuda or were they from all
over the place.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so UK, Canada, US, everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what you're doing now.
Okay, so I'm still doing the Nakai Marketing.
Okay.
I feel like I haven't been posting on my page much, so I've been a bit quiet. People think that I don't exist anymore. I don't know.
I know.
But I
Listen.
still have my Nakai Marketing clients.
Okay.
But right now I'm working for the Premier, and I'm his social media coordinator.
Now, what is that like?
So, social media coordinating, doing up his posts, organizing photography, media planning, communications.
Okay.
That jazz, yeah.
I mean, I would imagine, he's probably the most important person in Bermuda and also the busiest.
Yes.
So, like, that you're here with me having this conversation.
Yes.
It's like, how did you carve out that time? So, how do you manage that? Because, like you said, you still have your Nakai Marketing clients and then you're supporting the Premier as well. What's it like managing the time? How do you do that?
I'll be completely honest, I'm so used to being busy
Okay.
that if I have to work until 11 p.m. at night, I will. Don't encourage that.
Yeah.
But I've learned to outsource a lot of tasks now.
Got you.
So if I need some help with admin, I will outsource it. If I need help with creating Instagram stories or a flyer, I will outsource it most of the time, and then I'll, manage it. But with the outsourcing, I found, because I have a lot of connections with social media managers, I trust so many different people. I know that they can get the quality of work that I need.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's great. That's a good point that you have, because I think sometimes you feel like, especially when you own your own business, that you have to do everything.
Yeah, and you don't.
Why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think the key word that I heard you say was trust, right?
Yes. Who can you trust?
Exactly, because you don't want to just give it to anybody, because then you have something you're like, I got to do it anyway because it doesn't meet my standards.
Yep.
And so that step that you kind of did when you first started by joining these groups and reaching out and kind of forming those networks, it's now paying off, because now you have a group of people that you do trust.
Yep.
I think that's a good point for people who are listening to take heed of, right? Because you don't have to do it all, nor can you, because it's only 24 hours in a day. So.
Yeah. And that trust in circle, a lot of people would say, oh, well, those social media managers, they're your competition.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to be. Competition can also be community. And even if you are a business owner and you're looking on social media, I think it's fine to look at your competition in a healthy way and get inspired by them.
Yes.
Reach out to them, have a conversation with them, because half the time you don't have the same target audience.
That's right. Because and so talk to me a little bit about that, right? Because I feel like social media to some people, and maybe I'll just speak for myself because I'm an old lady now. It's like, okay, well, I have a Facebook profile and I have Instagram, so I've done it. So now I'm finished. Can you talk a little bit about what the management of that looks like? So, like, what do you do specifically that maybe I wouldn't do as a small business owner or couldn't do?
So I guess what I start with is like making sure that you have like a brand identity. And if you don't have one, I'll create like a brand identity kit. And that's outlining your colors, your voice, your tone of voice, the style, and digging deep into your target audience. And I think that that's the main thing, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to be able to create content that resonates well with them.
Right.
If you're just creating content for the fun of it, you don't know what they like, you don't know what they're going to engage with. You're creating content that is essentially useless, right? So that's my main thing, is making sure that I'm creating content that's going to be engaging to your target audience.
Okay.
And sometimes that's just fun content. Not everything has to be a sales pitch. And sometimes when everything is a dollar amount, oh, buy this, sale now.
People get turned off.
Yeah, they
They're
get
like,
turned off. They tune out.
Stuff. Yeah.
Whereas I try to use like polls, quizzes, just some fun content, informative content that they can save later so that they are really engaged with your content.
Okay.
As opposed to purchase this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what does the process look like when you are, let's say, onboarding a client, right? I would imagine that there's research that has to happen to identify who their ideal client is.
It depends on what stage of their business. Every single client of mine is very different.
Yeah.
So the onboarding process has always been different for each client. But 9 times out of 10, they kind of have an idea already. And if they don't, I have a consultation with them and we have a strategy conversation and we go through all that with them to identify who we're going to be targeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I could tell you from experience, we have we work with clients come in and see us all the time, and they do struggle with social media. It's like they know they have to do it, but they're like, okay, the act of actually doing it seems laborious, I would say, because they're working and doing the business, right? And then they're like, now I got to stop and think of something cool or funny.
Right, but that's what we said, outsourcing.
Yeah.
So a lot of my clients, I think that they'd be great social media managers. I just don't think that they have the time.
Yes.
And so sometimes they come to me with ideas, and sometimes we're bouncing ideas off of each other, so that makes it a great collaborative team.
Yeah.
I think that that's outsourcing.
One of the things that I think being a social media manager presents opportunities that are not just local, right? Because your clients can be anywhere.
Yeah,
really.
I've had clients in the UK before.
Yeah.
But I've found now that video content is on the rise,
right,
I limit that because I like to be there for the process when we're shooting reels or shooting an ad or something like that. So I like that I'm in Bermuda. Everyone's so close.
Yes.
And I can shoot the videos myself or be there to direct it or part of the creative process.
So you talk about directing. I'm like, okay, we're getting into movies and all that.
No. Just a simple, sometimes it's just like a 15-second ad.
Okay.
And so it's just making sure, because I don't necessarily do videography. I can shoot something on my phone or a camera, but I think if we're looking for an ad, hire a videographer. That's the other thing. A social media manager, should not have the role of 10 people.
Right.
And sometimes people hire a social media manager thinking that they're
You're
going to
gonna
get
do everything,
a
right?
videographer, PR, and you really need to nail down what you want them to do so that they
Okay.
can be the best at their job.
Right.
Because every social media manager has their own expertise.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good point, because that's what I think a lot of people think is that I'm hiring this person and they're going to do all the things for me.
Yeah.
So
That's not the reality. And then it becomes overwhelming.
it does.
Yeah.
So help me explain what your expertise is and what you would be focused on if you were to take on a new client.
The creative process.
Okay.
Creative consultation, strategy, coming up with marketing ideas, and being able to execute them for them.
Okay.
I personally don't like to do videography. I don't have a professional setup. I don't have huge lights or anything like that. So I would always outsource that. I can do photography, but I would limit it at that. So creating the content, graphic design, photography, and managing it.
Okay.
The creative process.
So what if someone hires Nakai Marketing? Do you have the ability to connect them with the other pieces that they'll need in order to make this complete kind of picture or puzzle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think that's key, right? It's like
Yeah.
leveraging your contacts or whomever you need to actually do all of the things. But one of the things that I think people struggle with, especially if they're startups, is the cost, right? So can you talk about maybe tips or things that they can do themselves that can position them to be ready to maybe hire on a social media manager or something like that? What can they do on their own, for the low?
Set realistic
Yeah.
expectations.
Okay. That's for y'all.
No, seriously, that is a big thing. Doing your research and understanding what's realistic when you're hiring a social media manager. And I mean, with an iPhone, you can shoot a video.
Yeah.
As long as you have good lighting, a good setup, and set up the space, I mean, you're good to go, right?
Right.
So don't have the expectation that it needs to be a huge production.
Right.
It doesn't always have to be.
Okay. Well, I would say that most people that I have spoken to, they do have, they want the whole thing, the whole brand identity. They want all the reels. They want all of that
Yes.
stuff. But how can we be balling on a budget, right? That's what I would say. So what, in your opinion, could someone reasonably do themselves? Like when you're talking about the actual things of building this brand profile and social media presence.
Do you mean in terms of like the posting or the behind the scenes of it?
Not necessarily the behind the scenes, but like I've created my profile and now I'm on. What can I do myself?
I say if you're not ready to hire a social media manager,
Yeah.
the best way to do it is bulk create content.
Okay.
So you're an entrepreneur, you're running your own business, you're busy, set aside 2 days or 1 day of the week where you bulk create content. Whether that be shooting and filming yourself, set up a little thing and just create your content calendar and get everything plugged in.
Okay.
So that you do that. Okay. So even with myself, actually, when
Yeah.
I'm doing a content calendar for clients, I tend to do 4 weeks at a time or 2
Okay.
weeks, depending on what the schedule is like. But that way it's more manageable, I guess. So you're not every single day trying to create content. You have your content sitting
Yeah.
there ready, post it when it's ready, and then spend another week in 4 weeks' time creating content. So it's not all at once.
Got you. And so that's, I guess, where the planning, the strategy
Yes.
comes in, because it's like, what content are we going to be creating?
Right.
But if you have the plan in place, you can just kind of tick the box and be like, okay, we did that, we did that, we did that.
Set your theme for the year. What are your objectives for the year? In January, you should be thinking about what you're going to be doing in May.
Right.
So,
Okay. Social media and being on social media, it's a means to an end. And in my mind, the end is that you're getting more customers, they're buying your stuff,
Yes.
right? So,
Hopefully, we
I
hope.
mean, that's
the
the
end goal.
plan, right? That's what we're
Yeah.
working towards. So is there a way to track that? Like, can I say with certainty, or can people say with certainty, that because I did these reels or because I posted this, it translated into X number of sales?
you can look at your insights, and as a social media manager, I also do analytic
Okay.
reports.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. When you're hiring a social media manager, you're not hiring a sales manager. So I help you to generate leads and traffic to your website.
Okay.
I cannot force someone to buy. I'm not a part of that process.
What you mean you
we're
can't
just
force?
hoping.
Now, why am I hiring you?
I know, right? And that's what a lot of people think.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that you should hire a social media manager if you still have a few things to work on in your business. You shouldn't hire them relying on them
to make it
to
happen
make
for you.
sales happen
Okay.
for you.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just, as a social media manager, generating traffic on your Instagram account, and you'll see, oh, your reel reached 20% more of your audience this week, or you have all these comments. And that's essentially my job as a social media manager, to make sure that your accounts are engaged and creating traffic.
Okay, so that means you're doing your job when you see those numbers
yes,
go up.
When you see
that
the numbers go up, the engagement, the followers, the likes, and it's not always going to be like that.
Right.
Sometimes we have slow periods, and that's okay.
Now, let me ask you something, because I'm always, I don't know. So, Maj's List, right? And different social media platforms where people can go to kind of express their displeasure or complain about a service. As a business, what would be your recommendation to a business owner who may have gotten a negative complaint on social media? How do you manage that? What is the proper process?
Address it, be honest and upfront, find a solution.
Yeah.
Definitely don't, if you have a negative comment, unless it's just outright rude and unnecessary, don't delete it though.
Okay.
Well, delete the rude ones if they're that rude for no reason. Some people are just out there trolling your page,
are,
right?
I swear.
I get that. But if it's a genuine complaint, I say leave it and address it in the comments, and even say I'll send you a DM and find a solution for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, that has been the strategy. And sometimes it's hard to decipher between, who's trolling and who's not.
Yeah.
But what would be so sometimes you can see, and it's like a tennis match, right? It's like bloop, bloop, and you're just like back and forth.
If it's going back and forth, take it to the DMs.
Okay.
Ask them to send you an email, because you don't want to have a public feud, right?
This is what I'm saying. Airing all the dirty laundry.
It can be unprofessional. So I'd say keep it simple, one reply, and if they keep coming back, address it in the DMs, get their email, and contact them directly.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I think that is good for people to hear, because I think especially for people who are starting businesses out for the first time, it's almost like their baby, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying something about my baby, so I'm coming for you. Like, you can't talk about my child or this thing that I'm passionate about. And I think that there should be some separation, right? Because we're doing business. This is professional. What people see is what you are putting out there. So they're making a judgment based on how you respond, right?
For sure. And the thing is, nobody wants a negative review, right? But it also creates an opportunity for you as a business owner to show that you care about your customers.
Yes.
That's the opportunity right there, so take it. Nobody wants a negative review, but use it as an opportunity to show that you do care about your customer experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think that's important because it's almost like social media can be... it's like you're exposing all your stuff, right? You're putting it out there. So it's a good thing, because you can get kind of real-time feedback on whatever it is that you're doing. But then you could also get real-time feedback on whatever it is that you're not doing, or that people expected you to do for them. So I think that's really interesting. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about the first business you started.
My first baby.
Yeah, it's your first baby. Can you talk a little bit?
Yeah. So, Nakai Marketing is about helping others, but Art of Identity, I guess we're still helping others. I'm like, I'm not helping other people, but I am. So that was an events management company where we were putting on arts events for BME creatives, so Black Minority Ethnics.
Okay.
It was based in Leicester in the UK, and it's a very ethnically diverse city, but there were not many events for the BME community.
Okay.
And so I was at university at the time with my best friend, and we were just like, we want to put on an event, because why not? We're capable. We had no experience in events, but we were studying arts events management at the time.
Okay.
And we were like, okay. It was like December, break was coming up, so we was like, we have 2 weeks to do this. We had 2 weeks to plan an event.
Wow.
We did it, though.
You did it. I love it.
But yeah, it was focusing on Black creatives. It was called Black Arts Appreciation. And we had visual artists, spoken word, singers, rappers, dancers, all the jazz. And yeah, we sold out our first event. It was, but let me tell you, I didn't think that we were going to. Because 2 days before the event, keep in mind, this was like a fresh event. We only had 2 weeks to plan it. 2 days before, we had only sold like 3 tickets from people that we knew. And I was like, okay, we're going to see what happens, but we're still going to put on this event. And the day of, we literally sold out all of our tickets. And I was
Wow.
like, okay.
So what did you do different? Was there some new kind of social media strategy that you employed to get the tickets sold? Like, how did that
They
happen?
were just late on buying their tickets.
You know how people do,
Uh-huh.
right?
No, I was like, really, guys? You're going to
We
stress
like
me
to
out
wait
like
till
that?
the last minute. I don't know.
I was like, oh my gosh. So the next time around, we were like, okay, now we need a ticket strategy. For
Yeah.
the first 15 people that buy their tickets, they get it at this price.
Got
So I
you.
was like, okay, I'm learning something now.
Yeah.
Got to create a need for a demand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a important lesson to learn, and we find ourselves in a similar scenario because we
Yeah.
put on events, not necessarily for profit, but to get entrepreneurs out and participating, and we suffer the same thing. We're like, oh Lord, are they gonna come? Like, they're killing us because registrations always come in late.
Yeah.
But that speaks to, like you said, you have to employ a strategy
Yes.
to get people to, I guess, behave in the way you want them to behave. Buy tickets early.
Yep.
So we know how much food we need to have, how much,
Yeah.
all of those things. But so Art of Identity, that was something you did while you were in university.
Yes.
Okay. And how long did you manage that?
I would say for about 3.5 years.
Okay.
Literally ended just because of the pandemic, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I intended on staying out in the UK, never planned to come back to Bermuda this early. And so we were doing events even after I had finished university, we were still planning ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And then pandemic hit. We had our last event a week before the UK went on lockdown. She was
Wow.
like, oh, just got that one
Yeah,
in.
just got it in.
But didn't know that that was gonna be my last event.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Is it something that you think that you would go back to? Because it sounds like you're really passionate about that because you are in
Yeah.
the arts. You're,
I love it. And I used to perform at the events too, and that made
Okay.
it like really special. My partner, she is a visual artist, so she would show off her paintings. It was a beautiful event. Like, we'd have easels set up all around
We
the
need
space.
some of that in Bermuda. Come
I
on,
know.
Art of Identity. Help us
I know.
out over here.
But I think I would be sad doing it without her. So I'd have to bring her to
of
Bermuda.
course, why not? Come on. Has
Like,
she been
has
here
to be-
yet?
No. I know.
Let's make it happen.
Adana, we're gonna make it happen.
Listen, I'm all for that. I do think that we have so many talented people in
do.
Bermuda, and if you can put something like that together to showcase that talent, we're all for it. Like, we'll
Yeah.
support that. My boss is like, Jamillah, don't be making promises. But no, that is the kind
Yeah.
of thing that we would love to support, because as an artist, you are an entrepreneur as well. You're selling yourself, right? You're selling whatever service, whatever song you're singing, or whatever art you're creating. It makes me think of, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia originally, and we used to do, not we, but a group of people did something called Funk Jazz Cafe, which was similar
Love that.
to,
Yeah.
so they had the visual artists, they had the musicians, they had all kinds of art. You selling things, makers were
Yeah.
there. But it's a wonderful way to showcase multifaceted, you know what I
Yes.
mean, art and all of that. So yeah, I'm all for that.
It's
okay.
just such a chill vibe, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Art of Identity. Think about it. Think about it.
I'm trying. I have so much going on. I'm like, I would love to bring Art of Identity back, but it's just
How
it's a
would it
lot.
fit?
It was a lot of work too.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would imagine that that's a lot of hands-on labor, whereas maybe the social media management, not as much.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to physically be doing things and
Yes.
making sure everything happens.
Yeah.
But look, you become an outsourced pro, so
Outsource it. That is my tip.
if you don't get anything else,
Yep,
outsource it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're working with the Premier now, right? And that's kind of probably monopolizing a lot of your time.
Yes.
But what do you see Nakai Marketing being after this?
I definitely want to expand my team.
Okay.
So I am outsourcing at the moment, but I would love to have someone permanent.
Okay.
So that I can build with, collaborate with, and I want to do a lot more like PR work,
Okay.
consultations, strategy consultations to be a part of the creative process. So I'm hoping in the future still do a bit of social media management, but be a part of a bigger image for the brand.
Okay.
Like long term.
Got you. So this requires bringing on teams of people with different skill sets.
Yes.
So are you leaning towards being like a full service kind of marketing agency, or not that much? Still specializing.
The thing is, a full service, I would need
Oh, everybody.
Yes, that's the problem. So I think that you can specialize and then have people on call,
Right.
and say, okay, this is my set videographer. He's not a part of my team,
Right.
but he's.
I trust this person because we have that relationship. Yeah.
So I want to have a team like that.
Okay.
But also someone to help me out.
Like, I need a partner.
I need a partner. But I wonder, will it still be called Nakai Marketing? I don't know. But we shall see.
Well, I mean, it could be, right? You're the founder. Now you're looking for other people to bring on to help support.
Yeah.
Well, I guess as long as you have that kind of shared vision and shared goal, like, why not? You know?
Got to work with someone who also has the same mindset as you.
Yeah.
I've learned that, yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Funny enough, I used to be in a girl group.
Oh, really?
I feel like I've done it all.
Yeah, and to be so young, I'm like, how? You led all these lives. But I think that's important that you mentioned having someone that has that shared vision, because partnerships are hard.
Yeah.
You know, you go into it with the best laid plans and you're like, yes, we're going to do this.
But if you don't have the same end goal and don't have the same way of thinking to get to that end goal, you're going to butt heads.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that you can't still be cool with that person.
Yeah.
Like, for example, with my girl group, it was 3 of us. 2 of us had the same vision for the end goal. The other one didn't. Still really great friends with her.
Yeah.
But she couldn't wrap her head around about how we want it to work.
Right.
So you have to find people with the same mindset as you if you want to have healthy collaborations.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that's in business as well, because when you're looking for a partner, at the end of the day, you want to see that the business achieves the goals that you both set.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if they are differ a little bit, we've seen it. Like, you know, you start in, I'm like, write it down, y'all. Write down what you're saying now, because it doesn't always, things happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so how you respond to those things and what you do, I think, can impact the nature of the business that you're doing, and could impact the relationship as well.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest part, finding that person that you can work with and build with.
Yes.
Like, how you do that?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
Sometimes you have to make hard decisions as well as an entrepreneur. So when we were doing Art of Identity, after the first year, it was 3 of us.
Yeah.
And we brought on someone simply because they were our friend. But they had no interest, and they know this. They came to us and said this. They had no interest in the arts in the way that we did. We were so passionate about it, and so our vision for certain things was completely different.
Right.
And so she decided to remove herself just because she didn't feel like it was a good fit for her.
Right.
And you have to make those decisions sometimes, that not every opportunity is a good opportunity. So that's my other business advice. Say no if it's not aligned with you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it makes it harder when you're friends, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, yay, we
want
like
to do
each
it
other.
together.
We want to do it together.
But that's not always realistic.
No, it's not.
No.
It's not. Especially, and I think it takes someone mature to recognize that, oh, maybe, you know, I'm not as into this, so let me just, you know, back away while we're still friends. But I think that's a lesson that you've learned at a young age that will do you well as you get older and as you look to grow Nakai Marketing, right? So I would like you to think about what words of encouragement you would have to a young person maybe considering starting their own business. Because I feel like, especially with social media management, I don't think people realize what goes into doing it well.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're like, I know how to make an Instagram, profile. I can set you up. I got you. But can you talk about what is required to really do this well, to be a social media manager and have results?
I would say definitely a good open line of communication. When you're a social media manager, you're not just managing one client. You're managing various clients in different industries with different needs and wants. And so I've had to learn, okay, with this client, I have to handle them this way. This is how I'm going to build trust with them. And it's a whole different research process with that client, and understanding, I would say take the time to understand the different industries.
Okay.
But also figure out which industries you want to go into. Like I said before, you don't have to take every opportunity. That industry, for example, it might be tech that may not suit me.
Yeah.
And I need to decline that opportunity because I don't have the capacity or time to research that industry.
Yeah.
And so you have to find brands that also align with you. And even with finding the brands that align with you, the people.
Yeah.
Are you as a business owner, and are we going to gel well together? Are we going to work well together? So the same way that they're interviewing us to become the social media manager, we have to interview them as well and see if they're a good fit.
Okay.
And so that's my advice, I guess, to make sure that you're choosing people who are a good fit for you.
I think that's a good point, because I think when you're starting business, you want all the money.
Yeah,
Like,
and that was
everybody.
me in the beginning. I was like, sure, I'll do that. Yeah, and I became overwhelmed.
Yeah.
With all the different areas that I was trying to do, and I'm like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah,
and
it's not sustainable, right?
It's not.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I would say just making sure that you really organize yourself. Social media management, it's a lot. You're almost on 24/7, right?
Right.
There's so many different trends and so many Instagram and TikTok updates.
Yes.
So I'd say one thing that I did in the beginning is I followed, like I said, a lot of social media managers, a lot of social media experts, as well as like the Instagram users who were doing announcements.
Yeah.
So that whenever I'm scrolling on Instagram for ideas, I'm getting the updates. So I was constantly learning as I'm working.
Okay, that
so
makes
if
sense.
my client says to me, Hailey, what's this new update? I can tell
You
them
can
about
tell
it
them.
because I'm following those people to give me the updates. I'm just like looking at a newsletter, but for social media managers. Yeah.
Well, listen, we are at the bottom of the hour, so it's been 30 minutes. What I'd like you to do is, if people are interested in hiring you, I know you're busy, but if there's somebody out there that may be interested and be like, yes, we could gel and work together, how could they get in touch with you?
Best way is to go to my Instagram, Nakai Marketing.
Okay.
And you can fill out a form on there. I will say at the moment, I am not looking.
Okay.
Just because I'm trying to manage the clients that I already have and making sure that they're all set, especially with my new job with the Premier.
Yeah.
However, I am taking on new clients, but I'm being very selective. So like I
Okay.
said, making sure that the opportunity is a good fit for me.
For you.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it from her. She said, don't be just calling me thinking that it's going to be a yes.
Yeah.
No, it has been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, I'm so glad you came and shared a bit of your wisdom. You're wise beyond your years. Some of the things that you talked about are things that people don't learn after they've been in business for 10 and 15 years, so that you already are there. It bodes well for the future of Nakai Marketing, I think. So. But thank you so much for coming on with us. And I close by saying, if you don't mind your business, who will? Thanks for tuning in to Mind Your Business with me, your host, Jamillah Lodge. Tune in next week, Thursday at 4 p.m. because if you don't mind your business, who will? Mind Your Business is brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda Business starts here.